push it, push, keep pushing, push it, push, keep pushing, push it, push, keep pushing. No matter what you're going through, I want to see you push it, push, keep pushing, push it.
Good evening, everybody. I'm your host, Maham the Mentor here, man. And today, man, we got a special topic we're going to be talking about, man. We're going to be talking about Maham the Mentor's favorite conspiracy. You know what I'm saying? So we got a lot of stuff going on with Terry Crews, Cat Williams, Shannon Sharp. We got Monique. We got a lot of stuff going on. We got the presidential election going on. And so, I'm going to be talking about the conspiracy theories that I consume myself with, the conspiracy theory that I like to hone in. And I hope you join my conspiracy theory, right? Because I know everybody want to talk about the Illuminati and everybody want to talk about the Masons and the Jesuits and the Trilateral Commission and the Council on Foreign Relations and whatever floats your boat, right? There's so many conspiracy theories, right? So I'm going to talk about the conspiracy of the plot to destroy the black man. That's the one I'm concerned with, right? The one that says, so that's a myth itself. You can't destroy the black man, you got to destroy the black boy. So I know a lot of y'all won't never accept my word because I'm just, regular guy, that's been through all type of hell and high waters. Them degrees in the back don't mean nothing. That don't mean anything. And I'll attest to that. So we're going to check out this video of where I get my content from. You know what I'm saying? Where his principles overpower. But I want y'all to check out these conspiracy. And y'all let me know if it makes any sense to y'all. Because I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I could be right and I could be wrong. Let's check it out.
And now, here is Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu with his penetrating presentation of countering the conspiracy to destroy black boys.
There's no topic that concerns me more than the one on the conspiracy to destroy black boys. And the reason is when our little boys are in preschool and primary grades, they're very innocent and very enthusiastic about learning. But something happens to them, and we need to find out what that is. My younger son is on the cover of this particular book, and I would like for him to grow up to be a man. Like many of you already told me, that you have sons and male students as well. Now, there's two parts of the conspiracy, volume 1, and this is volume 2. In volume 1, we raised 4 questions. First question is, when did the conspiracy start? Who is against black boys? Why is there a conspiracy against them? And what exactly is the conspiracy? That's in volume 1. In volume 2, we look at the relationships between mothers and their sons. That must be studied. We also must look at female teachers and black male students. That must also be studied. We must look at some case studies. In other words, many of us are doing a very good job developing black boys to be men. What is it that some of us are doing that others are not doing? And then last but not least, a program called the Rites of Passage into Manhood. See, it used to be we knew when black boys became men. But now many of us don't know when we're men. It's how much reefer we smoke, how much wine we drink, how many babies we make. Until black men spell it out to black boys what it means to be a man, this conspiracy will continue. But let's go back to volume 1. When did it start? And as we begin to look at that, I want to also show where else. We have prison, death. What else to make us unavailable to black women? Yes, homosexuality. As you said earlier, 1 of every 9 men in this country are homosexual. Where else? Yes. Okay, so institutionalization, and there's not only in terms of hospitals, but also mental institutions, and of course, when they get released, many times being homeless. There's still one other large popular area. Thimby?
They marry white women.
Okay, interracial marriages. Now I want to pause here for a moment, because you would think if anybody is going to marry outside the race, it would be black women. You got 2 black women for every 1 black man. But as Thimby pointed out, it's exactly the opposite. There are 164,000 interracial marriages, of which 116,000 are brothers. That means 48,000 sisters. It's almost a 2-to-1 ratio of black men to black women marrying outside the race. But remember, as you said in the earlier workshop, if the definition of you is light skin, long hair, and blue eyes, why stop with Renee, the light skinned sister? Why not get you the real thing? That's some serious problems here. And then black men tell me, I can't find a black woman to understand. You mean out of 20 million black women, you can't find one to understand you? You don't need a white woman, you need a psychiatrist. But that's another workshop on relationships. But I just want to share with you, we got some very serious problems. But to tease this audience, black women are tired of being by themselves. And in the earlier issue of Essence magazine, the article said, guess who's coming to dinner now? Black women are tired of being by themselves. In other words, brothers, you can't have it both ways. You can't have 2 black women to choose from and still marry a white woman. You can't have it both ways. Black women are tired of being by themselves. Now, that's with regards to the stats, why we wrote the book, because we saw the shortage of black men. But what we want to begin to find out is, when did it start? You see, it's called the fourth grade syndrome. Studies show that black boys may be the best students in the country up until the fourth grade. So we want to find out what your son, a male student, was doing at the beginning of the third grade, then at the end of the seventh grade, and then measure the progress. Let me give you 3 examples. We had a little boy 5 years ago on an Alpha reading test score at the 98th percentile in the country. In other words, a walking genius. That means only 2% male, female, white, or black had a higher score than he at the beginning of the third grade. At the end of seventh grade, the same boy now drops down to the 35th percentile. Engineer potential here, pimp or pusher now, score should have improved 5 years, instead they only improved 1.3. 2 more examples. We had a little boy at the 92nd percentile. He dropped down to the 24th percentile, and his score only improved 2.1. But let me give you the average example. We had a little boy at the 63rd percentile. He dropped down to the 4th percentile, and his score didn't improve a year, a month, a week, not even a day. There are 3 critical stages in black boys' development: infancy to 9, 9 to 13, and 13 to 18. You see, it's easy to see the negative behavior here when he's already dropped out, laid up on some street corner lacking direction. It's more difficult to see it around 9 years of age, when they begin to sit further in the back of the class, when they begin to ask less questions, when their ball becomes more important than their book, when they begin to cheat on their tests. We appeal to you to turn your sons and male students on early. Teach them how to read early. Teach them the beauty of being black and believing in God early. But many of us have waited, and we waited almost too late to develop black boys to be men. You know what I'm getting at. America spends $2,300 on Head Start. They spend $38,000 on prison. If Reagan wanted to balance the budget, I can show you save about $36,000 per person. It's much easier to educate than it is to incarcerate. Now you raise the questions. How long do you stay in Head Start? Year? 2 years at the most? How long do you stay in prison? The rest of your life? Question number 1. Question number 2, does Head Start work? A 19-year study documents that Head Start works, but in prison, 85% of the inmates that get released go right back in. But as Jesse Jackson says, we have 2 choices. We can either send me to Penn State or to State Penn. It's your choice. We have got to find ways to intervene. Now we have a whole world.
Man, and I love this, man, because this was made in 1987. This video was made in 1970. So we are watching the evolution of what he's saying. Just hear him out, man. I appreciate y'all for watching, but this is real, man.
Workshop just on the fourth grade syndrome. I now want to ask you, what are some of the reasons you feel to explain why black students, especially black boys, were doing so well K through 3, and now scores decline in the intermediate and upper grades? What explains it? Yes.
The learning style changes abruptly in 4th grade from what might have been more right brain activities in the primary grades into all of a sudden all left brain activities.
Okay, so a change in learning styles or methodology from the teacher, from a holistic learning style to a left brain. Okay, very good. Any others? Yes.
I think that there's a lot of rejection on the part of the female teachers in the classroom.
And the rejection increases with the upper grades? Why do you think it increases?
Because of the students, perhaps his natural makeup, hyperactivity, and that sort of thing.
And that may be increasing. Well, it may be increasing because we're now expecting them to stay in school or stay in a chair even longer. Okay. Any others that contribute to this 4th grade syndrome? We have a change in learning style. We have the teacher's outlook on the student. What else? Yes.
The student becomes more culturally aware and differs significantly from what the teacher offers.
Okay. So the child's now become more aware of their cultural and racial identity. Okay. Very good. Any others? The major reason you have not given yet, and that's why this problem is still with us, Terry. First name is Richard. I'm sorry, Richard.
Well, the peer group starts to form and become stronger by the peer group.
And that's unfortunate, Richard, that you said that, because as the age increases, peer pressure is on the increase, while parental involvement is on the decrease. I don't know who told parents when your child gets older, they need less of your time rather than more. When I speak to Head Start parents, 80% of them are there. Elementary school, 30%. High school, almost a joke. We have to work on that. That's another workshop, too, on parenting all the way through, not just in those quote-unquote tender years. But the major reason, it's not on the board yet. Still looking for it. Yes, go in.
I think, too, that young boys, and particularly young black boys, in the primary grades, they have many mother figures, and they have very few men figures, particularly black male figures. And I think it makes a big difference come grade 4.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think it's the major reason. And let me now get my first position. I sincerely believe that only men can make boys men. Now, they always quote me. I didn't say that a single female parent or female teacher cannot rear or educate her child, but she need not do that by herself. But you call upon her father, her brother, an uncle, a male neighbor, a nephew, a coworker. There needs to be some men in our children's lives. I want to explain to me how a boy is going to grow up to be a man if he's never seen anything. In order to be anything, you must see it first. Remember the earlier workshop, and I'll go through this very quickly, from University of Michigan, we wanted to find out what the major influence on children. We said 1950, it was home.
Hey, man, I just love he qualified to talk about what he talk about, man. I know y'all be looking at me like, man, you just be saying, hey, this is where I get my foundation from, man. I love keep
Home, school, church, peer group, and television. And then we gave you 1980. Home was still number 1. Peer group in the number 2 position. Television 3. School dropped down to number 4. Church last on the list. Let's go back to my statement. My statement says that only men can make boys men. Now let's see where black boys are going to find men. Let's first of all look at his home. 62% of all black children live in a single-run household. It's a very good chance he would not find a man here. I'm going to hold off on the streets and drop down to television. Can you name me 5 positive adult black men on television outside the news? And you can't name Cosby because the show just started. Name me 5. Outside of the news. And you better not say George Jefferson.
This was in 1987. Can you name me 5 positive black role models today on television or on a platform? 5 positive role models that you would want your child to conduct themselves like.
So they find very few black male role models on television. Now let's drop down to the schools. 83% of all elementary school teachers are women. 95% of all teacher aides are women. And when do men teach? After the critical 4th grade, or they're in the upper grade, or they're a PE teacher, the janitor, or the principal. Very few before 4th grade for black boys need them the most. And lastly, the church. Most young people, men don't go to church. And the reason is we lie to them. First of all, we made Jesus Christ white. The man surely was not white. And we have a book called What Color Was Jesus to explain that. He had hair the texture of wool and feet the color of bronze. But secondly, the Lord's prayer says on earth as it is in heaven. Young people and men want some action. They want some programs. If there are no programs in your church, they will see you later in heaven. As a result of not finding a man at home, few on television, few in school, and not wishing to attend church, the last place is the streets. And that's the problem. The streets do a very poor job making men. They do a better job making pimps, pushers, and a few basketball players. Their hero, Michael Jordan, said there were 1 million brothers that won his job last year in the NBA. Of this million, only 400,000 will even make it to play high school ball. Of this 400,000, only 4,000 will make it to play college ball. Of this 4,000, only 35 will go to the coveted NBA. Of this 35, only 7 star. And the average life in the NBA is 4 years. You got 1 million brothers looking for 7 full-time jobs that last 4 years. This conspiracy is complex. It goes beyond the NBA. Even schools are in on it. What will be the first thing you see when you walk into a Cincinnati high school? A large trophy case. And that was even schools give more glory to their ball players than the scholars. That's said in the earlier workshop. Where are the pep rallies for the honor? In other words, even school, I can understand the NBA, but even schools give more glory to their ball players than their scholars. This conspiracy goes beyond the NBA, though. It goes beyond schools. Jesse Jackson is giving you the clue one more time. Is it not possible for a black man to be president? For a white woman to be president? For a black woman to be president? Is the club only reserved for European men? You didn't know that a white boy with a high school diploma makes more money than a white woman, or black man with a college degree? The motive for the conspiracy is clear. For the question of why is there a conspiracy, the answer is white male supremacy. In other words, white men are not afraid of women, black or white, because women have no power anywhere in this world. The threat to European men will come not from women, it will come from other men. And the best way to destroy black men is to destroy them as a boy. The motive is white male supremacy. But before you get comfortable blaming somebody else, let me make sure we're clear. On a conspiracy, there would always be two. You see, you have the active conspirators and you have the passive conspirator. See, it's like child abuse. There were always two. You have the father who does the beating, active. But you have the mother who turns her back, passive. Isn't apathy, indifference, low expectations, buying hot goods in the black community, isn't that also part of a conspiracy? You have the active and you have the passive. In a conspiracy, there will always be two. Let me now give you the starting line. We'll start with the active ones first and then move to the passive. Leading off, batting in the number 1 position, representing this country, institutional racism. Batting first is the president. He bats in the number 1 position. Batting second, representing the Trilateral Commission, the Fortune 500, big business. David Rockefeller bats number 2. Batting third, representing the military complex. You didn't know, black people, 12%.
Those names, we can fill them in ourselves now for 2024.
The population, 1/3 of military, and died 41% of the time in the Vietnam War. The chief of staff. That's number 3. Batting fourth, and I don't mean Marlon Brando. I mean the real godfather. Drugs running rampant in the black community. Please don't deceive yourself. If America is the number 1 power in the world, they could police their borders to stop the drug traffic. These men and what they represent intentionally want to make sure the black boys never grow up to be men. But remember, they got some help from some of us who really like black boys, who may even have black boys at home, just didn't know any better. And so we bat number 5 through 9. Batting fifth, not all, but some mothers who raise their daughters and love their sons. Batting sixth, some female teachers who don't understand that boys have different learning styles than girls. Batting seventh, representing the media in this country, shows like Gary Coleman and Webster. Shows that make me sick. Shows that illustrate that black men cannot raise intelligent black boys to be men. In other words, we need a white father for Gary Coleman and for Webster. It's all part of the media image. It goes all the way back to Tarzan. all the way back to Superman, all the way back to Rambo, to Rocky, all part of white male family.
Oh man, so if Maham the Mentor says it and it comes out and y'all receive it as I'm making it up, or hey man, I'm well researched, man. I love history. I love to find my facts. I love to find qualified leaders, qualified teachers, qualified speakers. This man's qualified. He's on his A game. I don't know about y'all, but I'm loving hearing what I'm hearing.
Fantasy, trying to control the world. It's all part of scheme. Make sure you heard me. It's consistent with Superman, Tarzan, Santa Claus, the White Father, all part of that scheme. Batting 8, the macho image, Mr. T, and we'll look at today someone like Prince or Magic Johnson or Isaiah Thomas. In other words, no need to study, just be macho, just be a superstar. In other words, Mr. T, Prince for entertainment, Isaiah Thomas and Magic for sports. And then last but not least, a black woman by the name of Kathy, who will do anything for a man, and a black man by the name of Willie, who does not feel good about himself. You see your faces right now. Who's Kathy? You have to stay to the end to find out who's who. The starting lineup, Reagan. No, you don't know who Willie is, but we got a new theory for you now. We used to end with Don and Kathy, but now we're going to give you the Eddie Willie theory. We have a new one. So we have we have Ronald Reagan, David Rockefeller, Caspar Weinberger, the Godfather, some others. I didn't say all, some. Some mothers, some female teachers, the media image, macho in sports, and Kathy and Willie. These people and what they represent, intentionally or subconsciously, want to make sure that black boys never grew up to be men. Let's now look at the active ones first. I want to make sure we start in the right place. The conspiracy did not start with black mothers. It started somewhere else. We must start where it began. It began with active conspirators. I want to now look at them first. In looking at the active conspirators, I want to make sure we understand that these kind of terms don't make sense. We are not the minority. In other words, there are 4.5 billion people living in the world. Of this number, 80% of the world's population has color. That means only 20% of the world's population lacks color. Now you tell me who's a minority. You see, it's called the African triangle. It goes all the way back. We're not the minority. We're only a minority. We allow ourselves to be divided up from our brothers and sisters in Nigeria, in Jamaica, in the United States. Look at this African triangle. After all these years, other than the way we're dressed, you can't tell who's who. There are 1 billion people living in China alone, and we are second. 500 living in Africa, 160 living in Central and South America, 40 million living here in the United States. We are not the minority. Now, the question is, how can so small control so much? That's why I respect them so much. Think about it. You have a game. You have one game with 80 people, another game with 20, and the 20 going to win? The only way they can do that is by controlling the mind. Because whoever controls the mind will also control the body. Let's look at this. Let's break this down in half. What you come up with is 10% European women and 10% European men. See, it's not even 20. It's really 10% European men. In other words, the Trilateral Commission, they want to control more than just their countries. They want to control the world. And they have pulled this off. Now, there's a tremendous amount of pressure when you're this small trying to control so much. Now, maybe you can't understand it. It's been a long time. It goes back to Egypt for us, having that much power. But can you imagine that small number trying to control the world? A tremendous amount of pressure is on that small group with that much power. In other words, the first thing that men are taught to do is not to cry. According from their own Goldberg, the book is called The Hazards of Being a Male. The tremendous pressure when you're so small trying to control so much. The first thing that men are taught to do is not to cry. Think about it. Ever seen Ronald Reagan cry? John Wayne cry? They died with their boots on. They died in their saddles. They died like men. Now, any psychologist will tell you that crying may avoid suicide later. But as a result of European men not crying, European men commit suicide more than anybody else. Black men who want so much to be like European men are very close second. European women are third, and the most sane person in America, she don't make no money, but stay close to God and her children and cry. Black women commit suicide less than anybody else. Give yourself a hand clap. In other words, if you think that money is the source of all your happiness, they make more money than anybody else. But they obviously are not happy. In other words, money may not be the key. Putting God and your children first may be the key. Poorest people in America commit the less amount of suicide. First thing men are taught to do is not to cry. Second thing men are taught to do is to ignore pain. Got hypertension? Shake it off. Cancer? Shake that off too. Monday Night Football. Walter Payton goes off the field with a busted knee. Comes back on a half hour later in the Holocaust cells. Says, oh, what a man. The man was crazy to go back on the field. But see, men are taught to be macho, to ignore pain. Not women. When women's finger bleeds, to the doctor's office. Women take care of themselves, but not men. You know it's gotten so bad, the studies have now documented that when men are married, they live longer. That's an insult to my intelligence. It means that I cannot live long by myself. I got to leave my mama and go to my wife. Because if I don't, I'm probably going to smoke cigarettes, drink liquor, and eat a lot of pork on the streets. But with women, annual checkup, that's what they encourage men to do. Drink a regular amount of water and eat a salad on a regular basis. What am I getting at? European women say they're so oppressed. European women live to 77 years of age. Black women live to 75 years of age. European men die at 69 years of age. And black men, die at 64.8. Albert, you and I die before the first Social Security check. That law needs to be changed to lower it for us. We aren't living long to collect on the payment. This is sad. I'm gonna die 10 years before my wife. This is not theoretical. It's like it's my son here. It's my life here and your life. Can I not live as long as my wife? 10 years before her? Men are first of all taught not to cry. Secondly, they're taught to ignore pain. And then last but not least, they're taught to bring home the bacon. Well, I say as a vegetarian, to bring home the fruit and the vegetables. In other words, to bring home the money. Ronald Reagan knows this. Rockefeller knows this. That the best way to destroy black men is to deny them the opportunity to work. You know what I'm getting at, because Bill Moyers didn't tell you that was Vanishing Black Family documentary. 1 of every 3 married in this country, black or white, ends in a divorce in 18 months. Now, see, it used to be if you got divorced, something was wrong with you. But when you have a stat this time, something must be going on in society. I now want to explain what that is. When America believed in agriculture, America believed in extended family. When America believed in the factory industrialism, America believed in the nuclear family. But now that America believes in the computer, now America believes in a single parent family. Make sure you see my analysis. When the economy changed, the family structure changed. There was more than love in these relationships. There was some money involved here. Our grandparents worked their fields together, had economic reason to stay together, and so they did. In the factory, man works in the factory, woman takes care of children. Economic reason again to stay together. But in this new economy, where you now have women working just as much, if not more than men, you now hear women telling men, I don't need you. Got my own job. Do what I want to do when I want to do it. And we're now doing it very well and by ourselves. You know the #1 song in America a couple of years ago, ain't nothing going on but the rent. If you want to be with me, you got to have a job. It's all about money. All about money. When the economy changed, the family structure changed. And so now we have a lot of people making plenty of money and lonely. They place money before a family. You see, black men, we're going to do what white men do. Buy their family a house in the suburbs, 2 cars, and once a year go down to Orlando for Disney World vacation. And when black men can't do that, they don't feel they're worthy enough to stay. Now you see, the problem is there are 2 responses black women can give to black men when they're out of work. Now the first response some women say is, well, if you ain't working, you got to go. If you ain't working, you got to go. That's a mistake. Because black men don't hire nor fire, nor control the means of production. Now, before black men say that's right, brother, you tell them, please, brothers, quit assuming that black women took our jobs away. Because black women also do not hire nor fire. We are being played off against each other for some crumbs. We recommend the second response. For black women to say to that man, well, if you ain't working, can you at least go back to school? Can you at least learn a skill? Or at least make dinner or wash dishes while I'm gone? But the problem is there are very few black men that look to black women for a definition of manhood. Black men, as I said earlier, want to do what white men do. And that means be the breadwinner.
All right, I'm going to stop it here right now, man. Mr. Maham the Mentor, boy, if you knew better, you can do better. The more you know, the less you can't be manipulated by anybody, even me, man. Turn into the second part of this as we conclude about the conspiracy, the plot to destroy little black boys.
Push, keep pushing, push, keep pushing.